There's a certain kind of tired that coffee can't fix. The kind that lives in your chest, not just behind your eyes. That's the kind of tired I woke up with almost every morning for years because of a job everyone around me called a great opportunity. From the outside, I had what a lot of people in the United States spend their 20s and 30s chasing: a steady salary, health insurance, a respectable title you could mention at family gatherings without embarrassment. But inside, that job was slowly draining the color out of my life. This is the story of the day I finally walked away from the job that was killing me. When I started, it felt like a win. I remember my first day: the clean office, the swipe card, the polite professional smiles. There was free coffee in the break room, ergonomic chairs, and a motivational quote framed in the hallway about giving 110%. It looked like stability. It looked like success. It looked like everything I was supposed to want. The work itself wasn't evil. I wasn't doing anything obviously harmful. It was emails, meetings, spreadsheets, and slides. It was circling back and touching base and quick syncs. But slowly, over time, the job started asking for more than my time. It started asking for my evenings, then my weekends, then my identity. Just this week, I'd tell myself when I answered emails on a Sunday, just until this project is over, I'd promise, staying late for the third night in a row. At first, it felt like hustling, like proving myself, like being a team player. But very quietly, without a big dramatic moment, my life began to revolve around one thing: making sure I didn't fall behind. The signs were small at first. I'd sit in my car in the parking lot before work, ending off, just delaying, staring at the building, letting the same song finish on the radio because I didn't want to get out. I'd come home at the end of the day and feel too drained to cook, too tired to talk, too empty to enjoy the free time I did have. Friends would invite me out and I'd say, maybe next week. Work's crazy right now. Right now stretched into months. I started waking up in the middle of the night with my heart racing, thinking I'd forgotten something: a reply, a deadline, a detail in a report that somebody would catch, and then everything would fall apart. Nothing did fall apart. But inside, I was constantly bracing for impact. Then came the physical stuff: headaches that wouldn't go away, a heaviness in my chest I kept calling stress, random aches I was sure I was too young to be feeling. I told myself I just needed to eat better, exercise more, be more organized. I told myself this was adult life. This was normal. Everyone I knew was tired. Everyone I knew was stressed. That's just how it is. And then one afternoon, something small happened that cracked the story I'd been telling myself. It wasn't a big blow up, or a screaming match, or some dramatic scene from a movie. It was an email. Just an email. I had worked late 3 nights that week on a report, checked it twice, tried to anticipate every question. I hit send, then sat there in that office chair for a moment, telling myself, okay, breathe, you did it. A little while later, my manager replied, no thank you, no got it, just a short list of things they didn't like. No greeting, no signature, just criticism. I stared at the screen longer than I should have. It wasn't even the most negative email I'd ever received. But something about it landed differently. I felt this wave of exhaustion roll over me, not just from the week, but from the whole pattern. I realized in that moment that there would always be another report, another deadline, another late night, another email sent without a please or thank you, another week where I told myself, just push through. And suddenly the thought that scared me wasn't, what if I lose this job? It was, what if I stay here? What if I stay here and let this be my life? What if I spend year after year of my one single, irreplaceable life feeling like this? Sitting in parking lots, dreading walking through a door, swallowing my feelings so I can be professional, waking up at 3 a.m. thinking about tasks that don't even matter to me. That thought hit me harder than any performance review ever could. For the first time, I let myself ask a question I'd been avoiding. Is this job worth what it's costing me? Not just money, not just time, but my health, my relationships, my sense of self. Silently, in front of my computer, I realized my answer was no. Here's the thing about brave moments. They don't always feel brave when they're happening. They often feel like being tired or fed up or quietly done. That night, I went home and sat on my bed and did something I hadn't allowed myself to do in a long time. I imagined a different life. Not a fantasy, not winning the lottery. Just a life where my job was part of my identity, not the whole thing. A life where I didn't feel guilty for resting. A life where I could go for a walk in the evening without feeling like I should be checking my email. I started to write things down. Not a full plan, just small truths. I am not my job title. Being constantly exhausted is not a personality trait. Feeling broken is not a sign that I'm weak. It might be a sign that something is wrong. And then I wrote the scariest sentence of all. I think I need to leave. My heart pounded as I wrote it. My mind flooded with questions. What about money? What will people think? What if I never find anything better? What if this as good as it gets? But underneath all that noise, there was this quiet, steady feeling like a solid floor under my feet. It said, you can't keep going like this. So I made a decision. Not all at once, but over the next few days. I checked my savings. I figured out how long I could survive without this paycheck. I thought about who I could lean on while I figured out my next step. And then on a morning that felt like any other, I sat down in front of my computer, opened a blank email, and started typing my notice. My hands shook as I wrote it. I kept it simple, professional, grateful, but clear. I was leaving. When I hit send, I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel like a movie hero. I felt strangely quiet. Like someone who's been treading water for too long and finally reaches a piece of solid ground. People think the story ends there, but it doesn't. Leaving that job didn't magically fix everything. I still had to figure out my next step. I still had moments of panic. I still woke up some mornings wondering if I made a huge mistake. But slowly, things changed. My sleep got better. My headaches eased. I started laughing more at small things, at silly things, at nothing altogether. I had time to call friends back. Time to sit outside and feel the sun on my face without checking the clock. Time to remember what I liked, what I cared about, what I wanted. I realized how much of my identity had been wrapped in being productive, in answering emails quickly, in saying yes, and being available. And I realized something else. A job can be important, but it should never be allowed to quietly eat you from the inside out and call it success. There are people in the United States right now, maybe you're one of them, who are sitting in their cars before work, staring at a building, feeling that same heaviness in their chest. People telling themselves, everyone feels this way. Just push through. Be grateful you even have a job. And gratitude is good, but gratitude is not meant to be a cage.
You are allowed to be grateful for the paycheck and still admit the cost is too high. You are allowed to say, "This isn't working for me anymore," even if it looks fine on paper. You are allowed to walk away from something that's slowly killing your joy. This doesn't mean everyone should quit tomorrow. Sometimes you have to plan. Sometimes you need time to build a bridge before you leave. But here's what I learned the day I walked away from the job that was killing me. Bravery doesn't always look like big speeches and dramatic moments. Sometimes bravery looks like quietly deciding you deserve a life that doesn't hurt. Sometimes it's writing a short email with shaking hands. Sometimes it's looking at your own exhaustion and saying, "I'm going to listen to this." If you're listening to this and thinking of your own job, your own situation, your own version of "this is slowly killing me," I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to tell you that you're not crazy for feeling what you feel. You're not ungrateful. You're not weak. You're not alone. Your life is bigger than any job. Your worth is bigger than any performance review. And one day, you may look back on the moment you chose yourself as one of the bravest, most important days of your life. This was mine. This was the day I walked away from the job that was killing me. And it was the first day I started walking back toward myself. If this story felt close to home for you, you're exactly who Mae Moments is for. You don't have to share all the details, but if you want to, I'd love to hear. What's one moment in your life when you realized something needed to change? Thank you for being here. This was a Mae Moment. I'll see you in the next story.